brutal regime in Kabul, which was built, through warlords, drug barons, corrupt politicians who were not interested in creating a proper state and a functioning society, but they were just looting everything. They were undermining every institution. And of course, the security sector was one of them, so that we had many ghost soldiers who actually just existed on the paper and many other things. So at the end, it was obvious that this whole apparatus would collapse.
Who is to blame for how disastrously this has been? You, for instance, have been critical of Ashraf Ghani for leaving and fleeing the country like he did, even though he says that was to avoid bloodshed. The G7 has an emergency meeting on Afghanistan tomorrow. Do you think you're going to see any responsibility and humility in how badly this was bungled?
I haven't seen any kind of responsibility from the US side yet. I mean, the whole war on terror was a total failure. The Americans and their allies wanted to beat the Taliban and their allies, but at the end we now have the Taliban, one of the strongest Islamist militant forces on the world, with heavy US weapons and everything, and all of this didn't come from nowhere. The Taliban were, the presence of that, they were in many rural areas around the capitals for years. This has been largely ignored. They also could recruit a lot of people, because the war on terror actually killed a lot of Afghan civilians. I mean, take a look on what happened a few days ago. We saw Khalil Haqqani, a leading Taliban leader who has a bounty of 5 million, preaching in a mosque in Kabul. During the last 2 decades, we had so many reports that this guy was actually killed by drone strikes, but at the end, he's walking around freely and doing whatever he wants. So the question is, who are all the people who were killed during the last decades? I think a lot of them in the villages actually suffered, and the Taliban used the suffering to recruit a lot of people, and this was totally ignored by many people, including many Western journalists and analysts.